next step is extremely similar to the step that you just did. You have to take your green, because that's the string closest to the outside, and you're going to tie over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strings. So all these 4 strings in the middle, the 2 orange and the 2 yellow, you can just pop them up there because you're not going to have to worry about them. So you're just going to tie over these 5 strings. And it's very easy to make mistakes when doing this bracelet for the first few times, because your instincts will probably tell you, oh, we need to tie over the middle strings. But once you get the hang of it, it becomes much more second nature. Okay, I have tied over those 5 strings. I did not tie over the yellow or the orange. Okay, and we'll do the same to this side. I'm just going to use backward knots instead. So now we have the 2 oranges in the middle still, the 2 yellows sitting on the outside of it, and now we've added 2 green ones that we have not tied onto any of these middle strings. Okay, so now the color that I have on the outside is blue. This next step is another one that I think causes confusion for people. It is a little bit confusing because we were just working with these green strings, and for instance on the left side we were doing forward knots downward. Now this is where I think people's brains start to go like, wait, what's going on? Like they get a little confused, because remember how we just tied over this 5th string with a forward knot? Now we're going to do a backward knot on this very same string. And it might feel a little weird to do that, and if it looks a little bit funky at first, that's okay. Now we're going to keep doing backward knots, back upwards until the green string is on the outside. Voila! So as you can see, I went down with forward knots and back up with backward knots. Now, back to the other side. So we're going to move all these strings out of the way. And so when we left off on the right side, we had just done a backward knot on this dark red string. And this is it's very similar to what we do on the left side, it's just flipped, like opposite, because instead of doing backward knots back up, we're going to do forward knots back up. So you're going to tie a forward knot on the string that you would have just tied a backward knot on. And you're going to keep going up. Last one. There you go. Okay, these strings look a little messy right now. Let's take a moment to sort of pull them back to a neater arrangement. So we still have these orange and yellow in the middle. Haven't done anything with them for a while. We sort of have the Tiki's eyes started right here because we went down and back up with the green. And so now the green is back on the outside. I've zoomed out a little bit now for this next part. So you remember these yellow strings that we did not tie onto the orange? They're going to do something very similar to what these green strings on the outside did. So let's take this yellow string on the left side, and then we can move all these other strings out of the way. So what you're going to do is use backward knots, and you're going to make a backward knot over this dark red string right here, and you'll get this little loop sort of thing that's gonna, as part of what makes it look so much like a tiki. And you're gonna keep doing backward knots, but the tricky thing about this part is you can't do a backward knot over the green string. If you do, that will cause problems when you are trying to do later steps. So just move the green string out of the way, or whatever color you may have on the outside at this point. Just move it out of the way. And so, making my last backward knot, and so I just tied over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strings. And as you can see, the eyes are starting to form a little bit better now. And we still have these 2 oranges in the middle. We're not going to deal with those guys yet. So we're going to move all of this out of the way now. So we have this yellow. And I'm going to be doing the exact same thing but with forward knots. And remember, do not tie over your outside string. I have tied this yellow string back outward, and so all that's left in the middle are these 2 orange strings that we haven't worked with for quite some time. So the order from the outside going in is now green, yellow, blue, purple, light red, light orange, dark red, and then we have the 2 oranges. And very similarly to with this step, it's going to be like what we did with the yellow and the green. We're going to take half of the string, set it to the side, and we're just going to tie backward knots right up here on this side. I'm not going to tie over the yellow or the green with this orange string. Okay, so now we have 1 orange string left in the middle. And if you look, we're starting to get, it's almost like if you've ever made a Peruvian wave, how the strings sort of curve with the knots. You can sort of see that going on right here in the middle of the eyes. So now all I'm going to do is repeat what I just did on the right side, but I'm going to be using forward knots, and I'm not going to tie over the yellow or the green strings.